Imagine talking to the smartest person in the world, but they are locked in the room. No phone, no computer, no way to touch anything outside that room. They can explain any concept you throw at them, but they can't book your flight. They can't check your calendar, they can't query the database or send an email. That's the code limitation of a large language model out of the box. Infinite knowledge, zero hands. Today we are fixing that. Most people picture an AI model like this: question in, answer out. Text to text. That's accurate, and it is the whole limitation in one sentence. The real world doesn't run on text. It runs on APIs. Your calendar sits behind an API. Your database, your payment system, your file storage, your customer CRM, all are APIs. A model can describe your calendar. It can tell you how to book a flight, but it cannot open the calendar or book the flight itself. So, picture the gap. You say, schedule a meeting for next Tuesday at 2 p.m. The model says, I would call the calendar API with these parameters. Then nothing happens. It has no permission and no execution path. It suggests you still do the work. And even if you want to hand a model access to every tool you own, there is a deeper signal. How? Every tool needs custom glue code, written by hand, one integration at a time. No shared format, no standard, just a peel of one-off wiring. Here is the fix. Give the model a permission slip before it touches anything. Function calling is one sentence. You tell the model which tools exist: calendar, email, database. Here is how each one works. And instead of generating a final answer, it generates a request. Something like, I want to call the calendar tool with these arguments. Nothing else. Your code receives that request, checks it, and only then executes it. The model itself never runs anything, it just proposes. Function calling works, but on its own. It is bespoke every time. Wiring your calendar into one model is custom code. Wiring the same calendar into a different model is different custom code. That's the exact problem MCP was built to solve. MCP is the Model Context Protocol, is best understood as a USB-C port for AI tools. Anthropic, which introduced MCP in November 2024, uses the same USB-C for AI, framing in its own announcement. Describe your tool once in the MCP format, and any model that supports MCP can use it. One standard, plug and play, instead of custom wiring per model. Let's walk through a real scenario. You run a support team, a customer emails. What is my order status, for example? Step 1. The system receives the question and loads its available tools, say a customer database and order tracking API and a Slack channel for alerts. On step 2, the model reads the question and decides, I need these customers' orders, so I have to call to database still. It doesn't run a query itself, it outputs a structured request. Database lookup orders customer ID, for example 4782, a JSON object naming the function and its arguments. At step 3, your code intercepts that request and checks it. Does this model have permission to touch the database? Is customer ID valid? Is this even a real function? Once it passes your code, not the model, runs the actual query and gets real data back. Something like order 12345 shipped June 10th, currently in transit. At step 4, that result goes back to the model, which now has real data instead of the guess. It writes the answer in a plain language, so something like your order 12345 shipped on June 10th and is currently in transit to Barcelona. Here is where MCP changes the economics. Without it, you wire the database, the order API and Slack into one way. Then wire the same free tools into ChatGPT a differently way, then again to Gemini, and so on, so on, so on. With MCP, you define each tool once in the standard format, and any MCP-compatible model can use it. The tools stay fixed and the model becomes swappable. That is the actual innovation. Not a new way to call functions, but a shared format for describing them. 4 reasons this matters in practice. First of all, it is speed. Custom integration code per tool, per model is slow and easy to get wrong. Define a tool once in MCP and every compatible model can use it. Now, what used to take weeks of integration work can take days. The second is flexibility. You are not locked into one vendor. A support agent built on Cloud can switch to a different model without rewriting your tool integrations, because the tools were never tied to that model in the first place. OpenAI added MCP support in March 2025, and Google DeepMind confirmed MCP support for Gemini in April 2025. The same tool definitions now work across all 3. The third thing is the scale. This stopped being a niche idea. As of 2026, there are more than 2,000 active public MCP servers and over 97 million monthly SDK downloads across Python and TypeScript, with adoption spanning ChatGPT, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, Cursor, and VS Code. In December 2025, Anthropic handed MCP's governance to the newly formed Agentic AI Foundation under the Linux Foundation, co-founded with Block and OpenAI, backed by Google, Microsoft, AWS, and others. That is what an industry standard actually looks like taking shape and not a marketing claim. This is how agents work. An agent is a model that uses tool repeatedly, checks the results, and decides what to do next. Strip out function calling and there is no agent, just a model producing text. With it, you get a loop: think, call a function, observe the result, think again. The last one is safety, because the model never executes anything directly. You control what actually runs. Validation permissions, logging, all sit between the proposal and the execution. That's a fundamentally safer setup than handing a model direct database access. So, as we already know, the model by itself only produces text. Function calling gives it a way to request tools. You validate those requests, execute them, and feed the results back. The model reasons over real data and responds. That's the core mechanic. MCP is what makes it scale. Instead of wiring every tool into every model by hand, you describe each tool once, and any compatible model can use it. One protocol, any tool, any model. So that is the shift from the model generates text to the model gets things done. If you found this video helpful, learned something new, or discovered ways to simplify your workflow, boost your productivity, or even save money, please subscribe my channel and hit the like, because it really helps me to grow and keep digging to discover new things and continue creating more content like this. Also, leave a comment below with your thoughts, questions and experiences. My goal is for us to learn, grow and build real AI expertise together, and your feedback is an important part of that. Thanks for watching and see you in the next videos.